Hello, welcome back to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. A brand new year, brand new 2024. Here we are, we're ready to go. As promised, remember a couple of months ago, because we haven't been together, have we, for 2 months, over December, January, which is what we do every year. I promised we'd be back. I did. I said to you, we'll be back 5th of February. For many of you, it's still the 4th of February. And we're back. We're back into it. Wow. What a great couple of months it's been too, with just having some time off, and it's, coming back to the year feeling, refreshed. And to be honest, I've actually been, this is my 4th week back teaching. So I've been back teaching, I think 4th. I want to say 4th. Yeah, I think this is the start of my 4th week back. See, that's how long ago the holiday feels. And so my holiday period does feel a long time ago, but it was refreshing. We went camping, as we do. Well, we try to do every year. We were able to do that. So we did that this year. We did that over a heat wave. It was crazy hot, like so hot to be camping in. If you know anything about Australian summers, you'll know it can be pretty brutal. So to add to that complexity, heat-wise, the fact that it was nominated as a heat wave, we had 3 or 4 days, right, basically, kind of from the beginning of our camping trip into the middle, where it was hot, and it's continued to be hot here. We've sort of had this really humid, hot weather, and I know there's some really unusual weather things happening all over the planet. So let us know where you're from. Jump in, say hello. I can see Mr. Fomiati's in there. As always, good to see you, Dom. Linda is, of course, in the live chat. We'll go through some housekeeping rules, if you will, in a moment, just because it's our first session, first live hangout for the year. And there are so many of you who will be new to what we do here, and so I'll go through that. But I did want to just, start off by telling you that I'm ready to go. We've got a big family event happening tomorrow, which I just wanted to share with you. With my son, Jaden, I have 3 children. My eldest and my youngest are both young women, whereas my son, my middle child, he is leaving for the ADF, the Australian Defence Force, tomorrow. He leaves tomorrow. It's been 18 months in the making for him, because he was very much wanting to get into a very, very, very niche area of the Defence Force here in Australia, which is airbase security. And he particularly wants to ultimately work with the security dogs. And so that's a bit of quite a pathway to get to. So he will finally have his enrollment service tomorrow, and that's a big family thing for us. We won't see him for 3 months, and you can imagine how my wife Jodie is coping with her boy about to not only leave home, but he'll be kind of very, very limited contact for 3 months. So that's a big deal for him. It's a big deal for us, and we're very excited for him. We're very proud of him, and for what he's had to do to get in to the very niche area he wants to. So it's going to be probably some tears tomorrow, and when we're at the enrollment service, and then they bundle them onto a bus, and then they fly them down to Sydney, where I'm in Brisbane, Australia, which is 1,000 kilometres north of Sydney. You'll know Sydney, the Sydney Opera House and the Harbour Bridge and all that. So we're 1,000 kilometres north of there, and then they take them out to a place called Wagga Wagga, which is a training base. That's personal news. But I wanted to let you. It's a big news for me personally, and so I thought I'd kick off the year with that piece of personal news. And you can let us know, please let us know in the comments section, you know, what you've been doing for the last couple of months. Introduce yourself if you're new, because we're such a supportive, kind-hearted community here at Voice Essentials. And again, for those of you who have not really interacted with the community side of things, the Voice Essentials YouTube channel, so all of my videos, that's very much the shop front, if you will, of what we do here as a community. But we are truly an online community of people who are passionate about learning, singing, you know, performing their singing. Some of them don't perform. Some people just, you know, love working exercises in their voice. And there's a whole range of people who come to this singing thing with a whole heap of different ideas, and it's just wonderful. But the core attribute, you know, if you will, about what makes Voice Essentials amazing is the nature of the encouragement that everyone receives with their voice. And so if you haven't had the opportunity to join us, make 2024 the time that you do so. You can do that a number of different ways. You can start by subscribing to the channel. And in fact, if you want to leave a comment on this video during my live videos, you do have to subscribe to leave a comment. And you have to subscribe also to leave a question. And that's what we're going to do a lot of in a moment. We're going to do some Q&A. And we do the Q&As. We'll be doing a full Q&A live session next Monday. So these live hangouts happen every Monday, Australian Eastern Standard Time. So my time here in Brisbane, Australian Eastern Standard Time at 1 p.m. every Monday. There's some, you know, public holidays that come around and some holidays, but I always let you know. So literally for the next, I think it's 8 weeks, we will definitely be hanging out together. Tech issues aside, and so far I think we're all good. And Linda will always let me know in the live doc. So yeah, if you want to ask your question as a part of today's live hangout, and when we do the Q&As, subscribe to the channel, hit the white bell icon, because that also gives you notifications to let you know when we're going live. And so YouTube will send out a little notification email to you. And what we do is on the general Q&A, we will just answer questions as they come in chronologically. If you've got an absolute burning need for your question to be answered, then you can leave a super chat. And I think many people know how to do that on the YouTube platform now. You just add some dollars, any amount is gratefully received. It all goes back into running the channel. And when you do, we give it's almost like getting a VIP card, and you get thrown straight to the front of the line, and we answer your question straight away, as opposed to just going through them as they come in. And we don't always, and this is just so you know, we do not always get to all the questions. Sometimes we get absolutely so many questions come in, I cannot answer them all, and that's where Super Chat really comes into its own. You can make sure you get your question answered that way. Of course, when we do, and I'm going to talk you through some of the other things that we'll be looking at this year, but when we do mini topics, and this was something we introduced last year, and it was the wonderful Linda who made the suggestion that we call them mini topics. The funny thing about that name, though, and Linda, I've been thinking the funny thing about calling them the mini topic is they end up taking up nearly a whole live. I am going to try and condense them this year so that when we do a mini topic, firstly, that it is a mini. That is, we maybe cover off on about 5 points, 3 points, instead of what ended up happening last year is I was doing like full webinars of like 10 points, and there was probably too much. And so we'll always try and do a Q&A with the mini topics. I'm going to do my best, everyone. I get excited. I get there are some subjects that I get very passionate about, as you know. So we'll try to keep it mini. And when we do the mini topics, I really want to encourage your questions that you bring in during that particular session to relate directly to the topic, the mini topic. So we'll talk about a couple of the mini topics that we're going to talk about, that we're going to cover between now and Easter. Before we do, I want to tell you about the special guests we've got coming up. As you'll recall, we got a little bit thin on the ground with our special guests in the second half of last year, because the special guests that I had lined up, a number of them had some clash of dates and some like last minute things that happened. And long story short, we're able to get two of those people back who are going to be joining us. So a new guest, and this will be in 2 weeks. Her name is Kelly McDowell, and the Kelly is currently doing her master's. This is in the US, and she contacted me just before Christmas, I think it was, requesting a permission to include a couple of my written quotes, because as many of you know, I am published in journals and in books and what have you. It's not something I talk a lot about, but I do have published, well, not only my dissertation, the doctorate, but also published chapters in books. And so she was ringing to ask permission to quote and to include those quotes. And we got chatting, and I said, hey, I think it would be really interesting to have you come along and be a special guest on the show. So she's going to join us in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to meeting her in person, and I think she'll be a really fascinating person to engage with. After that, we're going to have, so that's on the 19th. These are all Australian Eastern Standard dates. On the 4th of March, we're going to have Kate Fraser-Neely. Now, you'll recall we've had Kate on the show before, and once again, she's going to be coming and talking to us about the impact of things like menopause and the menstrual cycle on the singing voice. And she's talked with us about that before. She is a co-author with two other people who we've also had on the show before, of a book called Singing Through Change. And I've asked her to come back on because I'm so keen to talk with her about the things that they have continued to learn, that the new research is telling us about these important aspects for female singers. And guys, I encourage you to make sure you chime into that one as well. If for no other reason, for number one, to build your knowledge about the way the human voice works, and also to build your empathy, because our lady friends, they have some significant challenges vocally that they have to face throughout their adult lives, and I think it's really important for us to be aware of those as males to support our female singers. After that, we're then going to, and just side note, we'll probably talk a bit about this when we get Kate on. Kate, some of you may have come across a YouTuber. His name is Adam Neely, and he's got like a massive channel of millions of subscribers. He's an amazing musician. Well, Kate is Adam's mum. So there you go. That's a little side tidbit. And wouldn't it be cool to have Adam come on the channel? I think it would. I'll see. I'll ask Kate and see if that can. Would it be? I just think it'd be cool because he is super skilled as a musician. Amazing, mate, and he really thinks differently. Anyway, then at the end of March, on the 25th of March, we're going to be having my very, very, very good friend Sharon Tree, and she. It's funny because, as I said, we were going to be having both Kate and Sharon pre-Christmas. but Sharon ended up having to have some surgery on her hand, and it just didn't work out. So, but the funny thing is, I've kind of moved away from the topic I was going to get Sharon on to talk about. She has recently been releasing a whole range of sort of little memes, if you will. They're not comical memes. They're just like textual memes onto Facebook, and I dare say probably Instagram. And she's calling it the Mythbusters or something. Anyway, so what I want to do with Sharon, and it's been a fantastic series that she's been releasing, just speaking to all the myths about voice. There are so many. And so we're going to talk through the main ones, hopefully bust up a few, and that's going to be fun. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you're all over that, so that you can get your thinking right around a few things. We've touched on quite a number of those myths over the years, but for those of you who are new, make sure you join in. And then the mini topics, and I won't tell you the dates because I didn't write them down. I don't know why I didn't. They're written down, ready to go. But the two mini topics we're going to do between now and Easter are going to be effective practice techniques. It's going to talk through some things that you can be thinking about to really enhance your practice. Not necessarily what to practice, though that may well be a part of it, really identifying, what should you be practicing. Vocal workouts are not a warm-up, and a warm-up is not anyway, we'll probably talk about that. So I'm going to really delve into it. I want you to be getting the most out of your time. We are all so busy, right? And so I want you to be getting the most out of your practice and practicing longer. I so often have people messaging me, or, we've had questions come in here onto the channel. I'm practicing all day, but my voice is just getting tired. It's not getting... Well, that's part of the issue. You're practicing every day. Less is often more. And no truer point is that than with vocal practice. You can get so much more bang for your buck if you just know how to go about it. So we're going to look at that. Then the other one we're going to look at, and we're going to look at, I've already listed, believe it or not, I have already listed all the topics for the whole year, but the two I wanted to look at in the beginning of the year are really about, helping you move into your year with your singing. And the second one we're going to talk about is developing your own unique voice. What does that what does that even mean? And I so often, when I've got a brand new student in, one of the first things that they'll say to me is, I just don't know my voice. I don't know, what is my voice? And I understand what they're saying about that. And it's such a common thread of concern / mystery / just a wanting to not be finding themselves emulating other singers. How do I create my own vocal signature? So we'll have a look at those as the term progresses. And as I said, I've already got the mini topics are mapped out. The special guests, not so much. We've got the first three slated, and then we'll have other interesting guests as the year plays out. I'm quietly excited. I am excited about the year. I'm not always. And life is what life is. Sometimes you're not excited, and that's okay as well. But I'm optimistic about what the year holds for us as we enter into, Linda let us know last year. Linda, remind me in the Google Doc, how many years have we been doing this? It's been a little while. We've been doing this 8, 9 years. something like that. Might even be longer. Anyway, we've been doing it a long time. I hope you're going to join us for the year. And of course, a big shout out to all of you who watch this as a replay. So many of you. That's how you consume this show. In fact, more of you consume it as a replay than you do watching it live, and that's understandable. You can't always chime in live, right? And so I want you to know I very much am aware that you are there. We see you, and we very much count you a part of the Voice Essentials community. Oh, which I neglected to say, the other way you can become a part of the community is join the Facebook group. And we had just an amazing show of vocal performances for Christmas. The community led by Kathy, and prior to Christmas, Kathy, who once you're in the Facebook group, you will see Kathy everywhere. The Facebook group is called the Voice Essentials Community Group. So just search that. To subscribe, you can easily become a part of the group, become a member, but you do have to accept the administrational rules. They're just really reasonable, no self-promotion, ideologies, religious and all that sort of stuff. So read them, sign up, and once you meet Kathy Schneider, she very active. She ran like a secret. It was like a secret Santa where people chose a song for each other, and you didn't know who chose what song and whatever, and people record those songs and then upload them to the group, and it was fabulous, and it was so good. Kathy is running another event which came out of a conversation she had with another community member. We're running like a Valentine's love song sort of thematic thing where people are uploading their love songs, and it just helps to create a reason for your recording, and it pushes us along in our learning, and like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's very encouraging. It's very normal. I will put this out there. It's very normal for you to feel very nervous in putting up your first performance onto the community, but I guarantee you will be absolutely just beside yourself with joy when you see the encouragement that comes your way. And on occasion, I'm able to etch out some time in my schedule, and I'll on occasion jump in and add some instruction and some encouragement via some education in what you might want to think about when you come to working on it. And so you do get some feedback from me on occasion that way as well. So there you go. That's the year. That's what we're looking at. And I've just seen 8 years. So is this year 9? Now I'm being nasty to Linda because I'm asking you, is it 8 years that we've already done, or is this the 8th year? I don't know. Anyway, I'm so excited to see the fact that we've got so many of our regulars back. I can see Mackenzie. And do you know, Mackenzie, believe it or not, Mackenzie, this is no word of a lie. I thought to myself, oh, it'd be good to see Mackenzie in the live chat today when we jump back in, because I was thinking about all the people that we were likely to see in the live chat. Mackenzie's been a regular member here for a long time. She's one of the community stalwarts. I've just seen. Now Linda's being snarky. She's come back, said, stop asking tricky questions, Dan. Yes, this is year 9. Wow. It's no wonder I get to the end of every year feeling a bit tired, because we've been doing this a little while. Okay, we're going to get into some Q&A, because it'll be just good to do 20 or so minutes of some Q&A. Get the year off to a start right after this. Okay, now, as you know, for those of you who watch the show, I've got to go looking for the question. So let's see if I can find the Mackenzie Kate question. Ah, here it is. I can find it. I can find it. I'm going to bring that down there, though. Like there. Okay. So, Mackenzie, it is no surprise to anyone who watches this show on a regular basis that Mackenzie is the first to get her question in. Well done, Mackenzie. First question for 2024. Is vocal recovery different for COVID, or do you handle it like any other sickness? I've got COVID and I have my first rehearsal on Tuesday. I'm so sorry to hear that you've got COVID, Mackenzie. I'm going to first of all remind us all that I am not a medical doctor. I have a doctorate of musical arts, and so I am an academic doctor and a singing voice specialist with 29 years this year of singing teaching experience. But I am not a healthcare professional. So let's just put that out there straight away. On occasion, I have reason to remind us of that, and it's important as we talk about COVID that we know that. What we are noticing in the singing teaching community about COVID is it, like everything, everyone is impacted by it differently. You really have to, in consultation with your healthcare professional, work out what impact it's having on you. I know I've only had COVID once. When I had COVID, it really hit me hard. I ended up getting a secondary infection, like a bacterial lung infection, which just like wiped me out. And so it took me 10 weeks to recover. As many of you already know, I have what's called the ×2 rule. It's a very loose rule, rule of thumb, if you will, that recognizes that, and we're talking acute illness here. We're talking your common cold and flu. For every day that you are unwell, you can expect it to take around about ×2, so 2 days, for your voice to recover. Now, so if you're sick for 3 days, which is not an uncommon sort of, general everyday cold, you should expect it to take 6 to 7 days for you to, after you are feeling better, for your voice to be fully back. And that's because it takes time during the subacute phase, that is the period in which your body is truly, wholly healing, for you to be fully better. It's a rule of thumb. It's not an exact science, and again, you will not find this in the textbooks. This is an observation, an anecdotal observation that I have made over nearly 30 years of teaching voice, and have observed it in myself. With COVID, I think that leans out for many people, leans out to more like 3 to 4 times recovery. And so we have to be really mindful in the way we manage our voice during that subacute phase for our post-recovery, because you don't want to place the voice under unnecessary strain. One, because you don't want to labor the voice while it's compromised in its health. But also you don't want to find yourself recruiting muscles to help you achieve the outcomes that you intuitively know you expect of yourself, but you end up recruiting muscles that you shouldn't, to support a vocal outcome while your voice is not fully functional. When I'm talking voice, I'm not just talking here. I'm talking all of you. And so, Mackenzie, I really want to encourage you. Firstly, I'd be making sure that you are returning a negative rat test with COVID prior to going to rehearsal. What we don't want you to do is be, sharing the old COVID with your entire cast members, fellow cast members. We don't want that, do we? And so we want to make sure that you are no longer, your viral load is such that you're not going to pass it on. But also, I want you to speak to your director and just let them know ahead of time, because everyone's pretty, certainly here in Australia, everyone gets it. We had a family event here on Saturday night for Jaden, because he's leaving for the ADF, and so we had about 40 people here, and family, friends, and the Saturday afternoon I got a call from a family that were supposed to be coming to let us know that one of their children had acquired COVID. Who knows where? We don't know. But they were very, very gracious in saying, look, we think it's best that we don't come. We don't want to pass it on. The rest of us feel great and we're all negative, but just to be on the safe side, we're going to steer clear. And so they wished Jaden the best and the way they went. And so appreciative that they did that, because the chances of COVID is so contagious. It is airborne, and so you have to be so careful. And Mackenzie, I just want you to get fully better before you move on. So your director is almost certainly going to say, sorry to hear you're unwell. Please get better soon. Do not come to rehearsal until you are. And it may well be that you need a few more days than this Tuesday for that to be the case. So that would be my thoughts around that, Mackenzie. And it's probably not what you want to hear, especially when you're unwell, but I think that's probably going to be for the best. Okay, no, we've got a correction to the stats from Linda. Oh dear, Linda. I'm being facetious. My bad, Dan, she said. It's 7 years of live show. This is actually 8. Feel young again. If only we could turn back time. We can't. We can't turn back time. As much as we might want to, we can't. Okay. Cher would have us believe we can, but we can't. Okay. Martian Murray, good to see you again, Martian. Good to have you join us for the new year. Let's find your question. If I can find it, I'll type in a search. Let's do it the fast way, because otherwise... Oh, here we go. So, how bad is coffee or other hot beverages for singing? So, historically, we would say to every singer, really, if you want the absolute answer, coffee's off the table, because we considered it to be a diuretic. That is, it would drain you of more hydration than it put in. I remember being told, I can't give you, chapter and verse on this, but I remember being told way back in my younger years that for every cup of coffee you drank, it would take out 2 cups, like double the amount of hydration moisture. And that's what we were told, and that's what, in my early years of teaching, that's what we told everyone. We now know in the latest research, which I think we can, when we get research that comes out and it contradicts something else, and then a few years later you get more research comes out and contradicts the contradiction. I really do think on this one we can be quite confident that it is the latest and greatest information. And that is that it's not the diuretic, and those of us who love coffee, me included, it's not the diuretic that we once thought it was, and we all breathe a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. But what it is it coffee? So we're talking coffee specifically, not every hot beverage, just coffee. It is highly acidic. And so for those of us who like really strong coffee, and I did, up until, this true story, up until January this year, probably for the last 20 years, I have drunk 2 double shot flat whites pretty much every day of my life. I'd have one at breakfast, double shot, and one in for morning tea, double shot. And that's my body has managed that. That hasn't been something that's been a problem. That it's just sat there quite comfortably. But over the last 12 months, I just started to think, do you know what? I think it might be time. I'm in an aging shell. Might be time for me to just cut back a bit on the level of caffeine, number one, and number two, on the acidity. And so I am reducing. Starting January this year, I reduced my coffee intake by half simply by cutting my double shot back to a single shot. And so now I'm having a single shot in the morning and a single shot for morning tea. For the first few weeks, I have to tell you, I felt like I was just drinking diluted, sink water, but dishwashing water. But my palate got used to the weaker taste, and I think I'm doing okay now. And so that's I think something that it is important that you continually, do an audit and check in. How does your body cope with these things? Remembering that we are all N equals 1. We are all individuals, and we all have to track our sense of vocal condition in accordance with everything we consume and everything we do. What is good for someone may not be good for you. And so it's really important, just because, and this is so important online, just because someone jumps online and says, I do this and this works great, you should try that as well. Well, trying it may not be a bad thing, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you, and there's maybe nothing wrong if it doesn't work for you. It just may well be that your unique instrument, your whole body, is not right. So for some of you, even having 2 single shot coffees a day maybe too many. But some of you can drink significantly more, and for whatever reason, your body copes with that. I think the standard recommendation is to keep it below 4 shots a day. But anyway, that beside the point. You can check with your healthcare professional on those things. So coffee is not bad for you, but it can heighten reflux because of the acidity. If reflux is an issue, then you probably do need to really monitor that and check in on it. Then as far as hot beverages go, what I often say to students who are trying to really cut back, because occasionally I'll get a new student through, we'll talk about their caffeine intake, and they're having like 7 cups of coffee a day. I wouldn't sleep. And we're often talking about the need to cut back. And so I'm generally encouraging people to replace what would be deemed excess cups of coffee with herbal teas, whether it be a green tea, a chamomile, a peppermint, whatever takes your fancy. There's so many great herbal teas now. And a lot of them are really, you can get a lot of herbal teas that have no caffeine, and you can get a lot of herbal teas that are very, very low acidity. to the point of being a moot point. So that would be what I'd encourage you to do. As far as how do they affect you with your singing? And I still remember seeing Barbara Streisand, of all people, on stage. This is back around to the year 2000-ish. And she had this live TV special that she did, and she had this cup of tea that she was constantly sipping throughout this show. I don't know whether the tea was cold or hot or what it was. The best beverage you can be drinking while you sing is unadulterated H2O, and tepid water, so room temperature. And when I say room temperature, we're talking straight from, well, it's an Australian tap, so often our water comes out a bit warmer than normal. If you're in Canada right now, hopefully your taps are still running, because I know they can freeze up, right? But we don't want super icy cold water, because you'll find that the musculature will constrict away. But the same thing can happen with an extreme temperature of heat. You do run the risk of just having everything move away from that equilibrium of warmth that we do want for our singing. And so, Marsh and Murray, I hope that's helpful. And I'm glad there are only 2 questions today, because I think we probably need to wrap it up. Remember, coming back, I'll just get back into here. As we head into the new year, so next week we're going to do a full Q&A. And just while I'm thinking of it again, I just want to wish Mackenzie, I hope you're feeling better as the week progresses. And if you were watching the show and you're not feeling great, I hope you feel better as the week progresses also. We're going to get into a full Q&A next week, right? So if you're going to join the live show, write your questions down, before, so that you don't forget your questions. Write your questions down. Jump in with us next week, 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the Monday, and we'll jump in there. And then we're going to have our first special guest of the year, Kelly. I'm really looking forward to meeting and talking with Kelly. I think she's going to be a really fascinating person to chat with, and it's going to be a great year. Do you feel it? It's going to be a great year. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe and join in with the rest of us for the remainder of the year. There you go. First year, no technical issues. It must be going to be a great year. No tech issues. That's great. I very much look forward to... You can tell it's the first show, right? I very much look forward to seeing you again next week. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.